Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. Oh man, let me settle back in this old armchair of mine and tell you what's been rolling around in my head lately about General Hospital. You know, I've been following that show since my kids were little and the house was full of noise, and these days it's one of the few things that still gets my blood pumping like it did back when I was younger. The latest mess with Ezra Boyle and that slick, dangerous Jen Sidwell. Lord have mercy. It's got me talking to the television screen like it's an old buddy sitting across the room. I remember when Ezra first showed up on the canvas, he always struck me as the kind of fella who thought he could talk his way out of anything. Smooth talker, you know. But lately, bless his heart, it's plain as day the boy's in way over his head. The way he's been fumbling around with Sidwell just makes you shake your head. He tried to stand up to him a little bit, just a tiny pushback, but the second that gun came out and was pointed right at him, Ezra folded faster than a cheap card table at a church picnic. I felt that one right in my chest. There's nothing quite like watching a man realize in real time that all his big talk don't mean a hill of beans when the chips are down. Now poor Ezra's walking around with that haunted look, the kind that says he knows he's living on borrowed time. He's worried sick that if he doesn't prove himself useful to Sidwell real quick, that ruthless man is going to cut him loose for good. And let me tell you, Sidwell doesn't play games. I've seen enough of these storylines over the years to know when a guy like that decides you're no longer needed, you don't get a polite goodbye, you just disappear. Ezra's got every right to be scared for his life. I keep thinking about how I'd feel if I was in his shoes, heart hammering every time the phone rings, looking over my shoulder every time I step outside. It's enough to make a grown man lose sleep, and I'm just watching it from my living room. But here's the part that really grabbed me by the collar and wouldn't let go. Ezra's gone and thrown in his lot with Laura Collins. Yep, that strong, steady Laura we've all come to love over the decades. Jeannie Francis still brings such warmth and steel to that character, doesn't she? The two of them quietly working together on this secret plan to bring Sidwell down. At first, I wanted to stand up and cheer. Finally, I hollered at the screen. Ezra's got a chance to do something right and maybe earn back a little bit of his freedom. It felt like one of those classic underdog moments the show does so well. Still, the more I chew on it, the more my stomach twists. Sidwell has turned into such a big, powerful villain lately. He's got his hooks and everything, pulling strings left and right like some kind of shadow boss. When a character like him finally gets taken down, and we all know that day's coming, it's never going to be some quiet little victory. It's going to be loud, dramatic, and probably leave a few broken hearts and shattered lives in its wake. That's what makes General Hospital so special, isn't it? These stories don't hand you easy endings on a silver platter. I keep turning it over in my mind, and I just can't shake the worry that this little partnership between Ezra and Laura might be the very thing that seals his fate. It sounds exciting on paper, sure, but deep down I've got this nagging feeling it's only going to give Sidwell one more reason to turn on Ezra completely. If that cold-eyed man finds out they're working together and you just know he will, because nothing stays hidden forever in Port Charles, well, I hate to even say it out loud. Ezra could end up as nothing more than a warning. Just another body left in the trunk of a car somewhere, maybe even parked where Laura would be sure to find it. A cold message meant to scare her into backing off. Lord, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Ezra's made his share of mistakes, but nobody deserves to go out like that, cold and alone, and turned into somebody else's lesson. That's the thing about these stories, though. They sneak up on you and make you care about folks you probably wouldn't give the time of day to in real life. I sit here every afternoon, coffee getting cold in my mug, wondering if Ezra's finally going to find that little spark of courage he needs, or if he's just digging his own grave deeper. It reminds me of life itself sometimes, how we all take chances, team up with unlikely friends, and pray the plan doesn't blow up in our faces. Sometimes you've got to roll the dice even when the odds look terrible, because staying still isn't really living. I'll keep tuning in, same as I have for years, hoping against hope that Laura's smarts and whatever backbone Ezra can scrape together might just be enough. But I'm also bracing myself, because General Hospital has taught me that the road to justice is rarely smooth, and the bad guys don't always go quietly. These characters feel like old neighbors who keep stumbling through the same messes we all do, only with bigger consequences and better lighting. Anyway, that's what's been on my mind lately. These plots have me hooked tighter than a fish on a good line, and I wouldn't trade these afternoon stories for anything. They make an old guy like me feel alive, make me laugh, make me worry, and sometimes even make me tear up a little when I think nobody's looking. How about you folks out there? You've been watching this same roller coaster ride with Ezra and Sidwell? Does it keep you coming back too? I'd sure love to hear what you think the next twist might be. I keep picturing how things might play out if Ezra's secret little alliance with Laura Collins blows up in the worst way, that Jen Sidwell is one cold customer. He doesn't just get rid of people and move on, he likes to make a point. I can almost see it now. Sidwell dragging out the moment. Maybe even putting up a picture or something of Ezra after it's too late, just to rub salt in the wound. He'd stand there with that smug look on his face and mock Laura, telling her this was all her doing. Like she's the one who planted those rebellious ideas in Ezra's head and pushed him straight toward disaster. Lord, that would be a tough scene to watch. Laura's been through so much already, and she's one of the strongest women on the show. But hearing Sidwell blame her for Ezra's tragic end, that would cut deep. I'd probably be yelling at the TV, "Leave her alone, you snake," because that's just not right. Ezra made his own choices, sure, but he was scared and looking for a way out. Teaming up with Laura gave him a little hope, and now that hope might cost him everything. And it doesn't stop there. From what I've been seeing in the latest developments, Sidwell isn't the type to issue an empty threat. He might look Laura dead in the eye and warn her that if she doesn't back off and quit all her scheming, the next ones to pay the price could be the people she loves most, like her husband, Kevin Collins, or even Little Ace Cassadine. Those names hit me right in the chest. Kevin's been a steady, decent man through thick and thin, and Ace is just a child caught up in all this Cassadine mess. The thought of Sidwell turning his sights on them makes my blood run cold. It's the kind of threat that shows exactly how dangerous this man has become. You know, I've been watching soaps long enough to recognize when a villain like Sidwell is reaching his peak. He's got power, he's got no conscience, and right now he feels untouchable. That's why this partnership between Ezra and Laura feels so risky. On one hand, I'm rooting for them to pull off something clever and finally knock that guy down a peg. On the other hand, I've got this heavy feeling in my gut that it's all going to backfire badly. Ezra could end up as nothing more than a message, a terrible warning left for Laura to find. And Sidwell, he'd probably enjoy every 6 seconds of it, using it to break her spirit and force her to stop fighting. It's heartbreaking to think about, but that's also why I can't stop watching. These stories remind me of real life in a funny way. Sometimes you try to do the right thing, team up with someone when you're desperate, and it still blows up in your face. You roll the dice hoping for the best, but the house usually has the better cards. Still, I admire Laura for never giving up. She's the kind of woman who keeps standing up, even when the whole world seems stacked against her. And Ezra, well, I hope he finds some courage before it's too late. I'd hate to see him become just another casualty in Sidwell's long list of victims. The previews and spoilers I've caught lately make it pretty clear that this alliance is heading towards some scary news. So I'm glued to the screen every day now, waiting to see how it all unfolds. Will Ezra survive this mess? Will Laura outsmart Sidwell one more time? Or are we about to watch something truly heartbreaking play out in Port Charles?